But how do you envision the future of art space research or ABER in this field? So where do you think it will go, and how do you envision its future?
It's being woven more now into qualitative research. So, thanks to the Sandra Faulkners and the Patricia Levy's of the world, it became a little bit more well known. And people have really taken that and ran with it. Of course, we have Monica Prendergast, who worked on trying to narrow that scope of what is poetic inquiry. But I see it getting more and more woven in. The challenge that I think is happening, though, is we don't have arts-based researchers teaching those aspects. It's still, and I don't say this with negativity, it's more traditional um, researchers. So I do this type of research. So I'm going to teach it all. Okay. Do you get the nuance behind performative inquiry, behind poetic inquiry, behind narrative inquiry? Do you get the nuances needed? Oh, I can teach it. I have resources. So there's kind of a challenge there in that we're not having the people who do it teaching it. So there's still things that need to be adapted, I think, and changed, even if it's a guest lecturer for that day, to bring it in more. There's more inclusion in some books, which is great. Though a lot of us, again, myself included, have tried to write books to give more access points to people. Because when I was doing my studies, I went to Carl and I said, Carl, I discovered this thing. It's called poetic inquiry. And he's like, mm-hmm. And so I didn't look up Carl, right? Like it's Carl. Of course, not realizing that he's one of the major people in Canadian history to work in poetic inquiry. It was early days. I ended up starting out looking at writing for personal development. So I wasn't initially looking at poetic inquiry. So when I found it, I was like, well, this is so cool. But then I couldn't find a clear definition, which is what led to my research. And that's still a challenge out there because depending upon who's included in those texts or included in those teaching acts, for lack of a better word, it can be really skewed. Oh, I only work in poetic representation. Okay. I do autoethnographic poetics. Okay. I do ethno-poetry. Oh, okay. What do you do? I do poetry as voice of the voiceless. What? Where are we going here? So, because there's so many definitions and so many titles, if you don't have someone who's in it, it could be, again, shrinking what people know. So even their exposure is not as significant. But again, I see changes there.